The movie begins with Tony approaching Coach Bert Cotton to enroll his son, Stefan, and another boy, Michael, in a Christian school and football team. Michael, not Tony's son, had a tough background. Despite being surprised by Michael's size, Coach Cotton did his best to get both boys into the school. While the school administration was open to giving Stefan an opportunity, Michael seemed to have no prospects. With an IQ of 80, he struggled with literacy and had various issues. Despite this, Bert was determined that Michael should attend school and receive an education, recognizing that if that didn't help him, no one else would. Eventually, Michael, whose precise age was uncertain due to the absence of documents, joined the class. He appeared older than his fellow classmates. During a test given by the teacher to assess their knowledge, Michael couldn't answer any of the questions. Instead, he simply drew a charming little boat. At night, Michael overheard Tony's wife urging him to kick Michael out due to their financial struggles. Meanwhile, designer Lee Anthony Torrey attended her daughter Colleen's volleyball match, where her husband Sean and son SJ were already present. After the game ended, Sean observed Michael collecting the leftovers that were left behind by the spectators. The teachers were puzzled as to why the school administration admitted Michael, considering his limited ability to write even his own name. However, Mrs. Boswell had a different perspective. Recently, she discovered Michael's discarded essay, where he had poured out all of his deepest thoughts. Despite his efforts to connect with the other children, Michael was avoided by everyone except SJ, who informed him that his father had been a basketball star. Anne, while in her car, noticed her son interacting with the apprehensive-looking teenager. Later, she asked her son about Michael. The school principal gently informed Michael that his father had passed away, and it took the police a while to find any relatives. Michael couldn't recall the last time he saw his father. Now homeless again, he spent the night in a public laundromat. Mrs. Boswell was impressed that Michael had finally learned something. The teacher noted that while Michael struggled with reading, he was not unintelligent. That evening, the Toohey family saw Michael lightly dressed on the street despite the autumn chill. Anne asked her husband to stop the car and invited Michael to join them, realizing he had nowhere to go. Embarrassed but grateful, Michael agreed and was amazed by their luxurious home. Anne arranges the couch for him and wishes him good night, leaving him confused by the stranger's kindness. She couldn't stop thinking about him, but her husband suggested waiting until morning. The next day, Anne found the bedding neatly folded, but Michael was gone. She caught up with him on the street and invited him back to celebrate Thanksgiving, where Michael was amazed by the abundance of food. Anne observed that Michael, despite his tough circumstances, was modest and tactful. The family prayed together at the table. Later, Anne drove Michael to his house to collect his belongings, but the neighborhood was rough, and Michael warned her to stay in the car. His mother's apartment had been seized for debt, and he didn't know her whereabouts. Anne then took Michael to a clothing store to buy him new clothes. To Michael, experiencing genuine care without any exceptions was a completely unfamiliar concept. The following day, Anne brought her son and Michael to school, and later she shared with her friends about her eye-opening visit to the poverty-stricken and crime-ridden area of the city. In the evening, Anne asked Michael if he wanted to stay, to which he admitted that it was the best place he had ever experienced. Soon, Anne met with a school representative to discuss Michael's situation. It became apparent that he faced significant challenges in learning and communication. Anne provided Michael with his own room, and she was astonished to discover that he had never been in his own bed before. The shocking revelations left Anne in a state of disbelief about the cruelty of the world. Mrs. Boswell and the other teachers took it upon themselves to personally tutor Michael. Michael began making early progress. He learned that the Toohey family owned a chain of restaurants, and they were dining at one to celebrate his school success. With his good grades, he could now qualify for the American soccer trials.
gnashed his terrible teeth and he roared his terrible roar.
As they left the restaurant, Michael hugged the waiter, who turned out to be his brother, Marcus, whom he hadn't seen in years. In the evening, Anne read a fairy tale to the children. Michael, whose mother never read to him, felt happy, as did Anne. Before bed, Anne shared her plans with her husband to do charity work for children like Michael. It was Christmas time, and Michael had almost become a family member. While Anne's friends didn't understand why she took on such a responsibility, they admired her kindness and selflessness. Anne wanted to adopt Michael, but it didn't make sense since he would turn 18 in a few months. In the evening, Anne asked her daughter if she was okay with Michael living with them. Colleen said she didn't mind and didn't care about others' opinions. Michael slowly began connecting with other kids, though he found it hard to communicate with peers. Colleen supported him throughout. When tryouts came, Coach Burt believed Michael could become a football star due to his physical strength. Despite his background, Michael was kind and worried about hurting other players, which surprised the coach. SJ helped him prepare for the next tryout, improving his skills while having fun. In the evening, Michael asked Anne to help him get a driver's license.
Something to carry with my name on it.
She agreed, but was surprised to find no records of Michael or herself in the database. Anne planned to get his documents, pay for his insurance, and take custody of him. She discussed this matter with her husband and made a decision to delve deeper into Michael's past, as he rarely spoke about his family. A social center employee mentioned that Michael's documents were lost, and little is known about him, except that his mother had at least a dozen children and leads an immoral lifestyle with frequent loan issues. Anne managed to find Michael's mother, Denise O'Hearn, to speak with her. Denise was surprised that Anne was caring for Michael without any state benefits. She revealed that Michael often ran away from orphanages to find her, showing his love despite everything. Denise, feeling guilty, broke down in tears and initially couldn't remember Michael's father's name, which turned out to be Williams. Anne held Denise's hand. Anne, Sean, and their children soon told Michael they wanted him to join their family and planned to take official custody. Michael was overjoyed. After getting his driver's license, his new parents gifted him a car. SJ explained American football rules to Michael again, and they became like real brothers. However, on one occasion while driving, Michael became distracted and ended up in an accident with SJ.
Those are my kids. Those are my kids.
Fortunately, both boys escaped with only minor scars and bruises. Michael carries a sense of guilt, but Anne reassures him that everything is all right. It turns out that SJ remained unharmed because of Michael's quick thinking. He redirected the airbag. The American football training continues. Despite the coach's dedicated efforts, Michael has yet to show significant improvement. Taking matters into her own hands, Anne urged Michael to envision the team as his own family and to protect his teammates as he would his own brother. To Bert's surprise, it worked. During the American football competition, Michael's family came to support him. Initially, Michael's team was losing, but they turned the game around, and Michael, recalling Anne's advice, led them to victory. SJ recorded the entire game, and coaches from across the state became very interested in Michael after seeing the video. Coaches soon visited Burt Carden to watch Michael to play, and were impressed, each wanting him for their team. With good grades, Michael could join a university football team. Anne and SJ received many offers from universities. Michael's sports success could earn him a scholarship, but he needed good grades. The Toohey family hired a tutor, Miss Sue, and daily lessons began. Initially, Michael lacked the confidence and struggled with the material, but Miss Sue helped him believe in himself. Coach Nick Saban visited the Toohey family and invited Michael to Louisiana to join the football team and excel academically.
Sounds good.
Michael continued training, attracting coaches from various states and universities to the Toohey home. In the meantime, Michael dedicated himself to improving his academic performance. He received numerous offers, leaving him uncertain about which university and team to select. Regardless, his priority was to obtain a good academic record. Mrs. Boswell was pleasantly surprised by Michael's academic achievements. Various coaches attempted to entice Michael with enticing promises, but his focus had shifted entirely to his studies. Recognizing that everything hinged on them, Miss Sue recommended the University of Tennessee, highlighting its excellent natural sciences department. The day arrived when Michael had to make his decision. Despite everything, Michael chose the University of Mississippi, where his foster parents had studied. The press closely followed the significant event.
Congratulations on getting hired.
However, his literature teacher refused to give him a good grade unless he wrote an excellent final essay. Anne tried to negotiate, but the teacher stood firm. Since Sean was good at literature, Miss Sue suggested he teach Michael. Michael discussed a deeply touching work with his foster father. The story was about people who followed their leader into a doomed battle, valuing courage and nobility above their lives. Michael found this inspiring and wrote about it in his essay, which his literature teacher found profound. At the end of the school year, Michael graduated with a high GPA. Anne and Sean were very proud of their adopted son. One day, Anne received a call from a child rights commissioner inviting Michael for an interview. Anne accompanied him, feeling uneasy and sharing her concerns with her husband. The commissioner suspected that Anne and Sean, who had donated to the University of Mississippi, were exploiting Michael for publicity. Following Michael's case, recruiters from various states might adopt young adults from troubled families to enroll them in their universities. The National Student Organization plans to investigate. The employee claimed the Toohey family adopted Michael to make him play for Ole Miss. Naively believing this, Michael accused his adoptive mother of using him and ran away in distress. While his adoptive parents worried, Michael returned to his old neighborhood to find his biological mother. But Denise wasn't there. An old acquaintance offered Michael a drink, and the group, indifferent to their future, led an immoral lifestyle. When one of them insulted Michael's new family, he snapped and attacked. The guy had a gun, but Michael's size allowed him to overpower them all. Horrible childhood memories of living in such conditions flashed before his eyes. Meanwhile, Anne searched for Michael everywhere, undeterred by the dangerous area. Suddenly, Michael called Anne, addressing her as Mom. She quickly picked him up from the public laundromat where he used to stay. Anne marveled at how Michael, despite his harsh upbringing, remained kind and compassionate. She asked if he truly wanted to play football, and Michael confirmed it was his dream.
Do you even want to play football?
Later, Michael told the employee he wanted to play for Ole Miss because his family loved the university. With no selfish motives involved, the whole family, along with Miss Sue, accompanied him to the university. Anne, emotional, couldn't hold back her tears as Michael had become like a son to them. They hugged. Michael went on to become a top player at Ole Miss and, with Miss Sue's help, earned his degree. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.